Hi there, welcome to Soundpaint. Welcome to our 12-string guitar. Why have 6 strings when you can have 12, right? When I think about the 12-string guitar, I immediately think about Hotel California by the Eagles. I also think about Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven and Tom Petty's Free Falling as well. Those be like the 3 tracks that just have that 12-string kind of vibe. But for me, the first time I really heard the sound, I was like, what is that? I was actually playing Diablo, the video game. So the 12-string for me just has a big kind of sound to it, almost like a historical sound. I don't know why, but for me it always sounds like history, or it has a medieval kind of quality to it. It's big and full of like wisdom and richness, if you will. We have 12 strings paired in octaves, so it's a lot bigger than a traditional 6-string. But more importantly, I decided to sample it in 2 different ways. We have a solo engine where you can play it like fingered or with plectrum. And then we have a strumming engine where we can do completely photo or audio realistic kind of strumming. I would say to most people, like, if you want to strum, grab a guitar. There's nothing that's ever going to replace that. And on the counter side, we have like MIDI strumming, which has just never worked for me. It just doesn't sound real. It sounds like a computer pretending to do strumming. Maybe just because it's such a different thing playing this way than playing on a keyboard. So for me, if I want to have strumming in a computer, I have to sample it using a real player. And that player needs to play virtually any chord you can imagine and a dozen of different rhythms. And I need an engine functionality that allows me to take all that stuff and make it into completely realistic strumming. And that's what we can do. In fact, all our instant guitars follow this principle about deep sampling the solo instrument and then also do a strum version of it. And all the libraries are symmetrical. So all the rhythms, all the chords are symmetrical between them. So you can take a mandolin, a 12-string, a 6-string, an electric, and play them all together. In fact, some of the tracks I referred to, for example, Free Falling by Tom Petty, is actually both using a 12-string acoustic and a 12-string electric. The Beatles used that trick as well. It just gives a really rich sound. We'll get to all that, but that sort of speaks to the importance of having a symmetrical library. We know everything is going to work together no matter what kind of guitar you use. But today, it's all about the 12-string. I say we're just going to start a Soundpaint and mess around. I have a hardware looper that I'm also using. So when you hear other instruments, that's just me pulling in different kind of Soundpaint instruments and doing my own Jackson Pollock on the looper. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, time to get messy. Oh, I love it. I could just hear every little string, like, you hear it? Like every string is just so available in the mix. And I'm playing a little bit as a keyboard right now. It only has 6 strings, so we often talk about learning how to play the instrument as its true sort of acoustic relative. But in this case here, I'm playing it a little more like a keyboard just because the sound is so pretty. It's funny, the second I start playing it more like fingered or arpeggiated, it already sounds more like a 12-string all of a sudden. That's why I played it like a harpsichord in the previous demo. I just think it would have sort of a harpsichord vibe, like a modern harpsichord almost. Just like straight up harpsichord. I feel like somewhere between a guitar and a keyboard instrument. I'm kind of strumming. But then I do these sort of very like direct, I hit all the keys at the same time. That's not really possible in a strummed instrument. So that's why I say I'm sort of alternating between like a strumming technique and a keyboard technique. It's just a cool vibe. So the patch I've been playing with until this very point is the one called Sustain Special Stereo. I just love this one so much. I actually took two 12-string and panned them out in a stereo field. So I took one with vibrato and none with non-vibrato, and then I did a hard pan on them so you get this beautiful sort of stereo vibe to it. And with all the effects in Soundpaint, we can help even spread it more and make it more lush and beautiful. Let me show you another variation of that by combining the 1928 piano with the 12-string as well. This is our free piano in Soundpaint. It's just a sweet marriage between the 1928 piano and the 12-string here. Just like super acoustic to me. I made this with our strummer. So I just wanted to see, and I love doing this with these libraries because we both have solo instrument and strummers, like what happens when you marry the two. So in this case, it's a strumming 12-string versus a solo 12-string. The solo sounds like this. Combining the 12-string with our Terz guitar, which is a different library in Soundpaint. And combining it with the 12-string, it just becomes this sweet little. So you'll notice we have a variety of subdirectories here. We have Keyswitches, which is containing a variety of different articulations combined. If we just briefly look here at the parts directory for the library as well, you'll see that we have all these different parts here with all these different chords. And the solo part is relatively actually smaller. We're looking at thousands of different kind of chord samples that are meticulously put together and all tempo synced. And as I mentioned, all our libraries in the Instant series were recorded the exact same way, same chords, same rhythms. So we can freely combine any guitar we want. It's so sweet when you have more than just one. But even just with one here, I have so much on my hands here. It's almost too much to explain in one video. But if I just briefly show you here, these are the key switches, meaning we're combining many different parts. In this case here, these are kind of different chugging strums. So we're noticing that we have all these different chords laid out here on the keyboard, and that's in combination with our key switches. So for example, we just played this rhythm here on this key switch. But if we go up here, we get more extended chords here. So these are going to be a little, and you can see them marked down here as well, a little more exotic. But beautiful in their own right. And then if I click D here, we're now back to the more common chords, but with a new rhythm. And everything is sampled chromatically, so we can go. And if I trigger the same sequence again, with normal sort of sampling, you're going to immediately hear, oh, this was a phrase. But we sample them multiple times, so you can do like. So it goes back to that sort of mantra of emotional realism and just having an engine that can perform. If I put strum on anything, it needs to sound like a real strum, and that means natural imperfections. I love Pat Metheny, and this is a little homage to a great one. So I started by loading one of the patches, if I remember right, when I made this loop down here from Sound Labs. I think it was the Thunderstick, which is a different guitar. This is what we call a hidden gem, a different library in Soundpaint that are merging together. Remember, in Soundpaint, we can merge every instrument together, like one of my favorite features about it. And this was just made playing that really fast. And then just put in the looper because I'm not good enough to play that constantly, but I'll do it a couple times on the looper and... Then I just made a bass, also using the 12 string, I think, just playing the solo, but like a couple octaves deeper. We're liberated in Soundpaint. We are no longer just locked to the natural range of the acoustic instruments. And then I just added a strummer on top of it, so we had the two solo guitars and the bass. And then just the strum on top. And then a melody with my favorite glockenspiel ensemble. I keep coming back to it. It just works on everything. This is one of those instruments for me in my template and palette. Glockenspiel is always going to be there. If you ever wondered what a glockenspiel is supposed to sound like, just take 7 of them and put them in an orchestral hall and record them. That's what we did here. So this little sweet one begins with the strummer. That's coming from the chugs we were just playing before. And then using a little bit of our disco drums. Adding a little bit of hi-hat and then our P-bass. Super simple. We could go up here and load a key switch. Let's take the country here and find a couple chords that we like. Try a different rhythm. Oh, that's nice, Buck Dylan. This is where it really stands out, the 12th string for me. Like, it is like badness. And this library is also double track, so you have 2 12 strings, hard pan left and right. And it's remarkable if you look at how many different chords we had here, that we have them for every single key with round robin and all that stuff. Like, I feel I can mostly do what I want. We can also go into the phrase. So let's take this phrase, for example. So by using offset here, I'm going to cut into the waveform and find a sort of different rhythm, if you will. So there's a chord right in the middle, like that one. I want to try to start on that do da ga do ga da, but to start on that note, I'm going to use offset again here for it. And by going into a phrase like this, I just get inspired. This is a whole new groove I never thought about. It's such a percussive way to play the guitar to come on the downbeat like right away, but so strongly. But there's a cool vibe to it, like I wouldn't have thought when I played a normal guitar. Don't ask me why, I just got well like on this one here. So this one is super simple. This just came up. I was playing around with one of the solo patches. I think this guy here. That was just what the instrument was like telling me like. It has that kind of vibe to it. That's the strummer in action. What I love about this drum is that I can really hear the player and the strings rapping a little bit. You know, real acoustics, God forbid. And then just some drums.